just stuff, stuff you got to work through. It's like when you get a new job, or how about when you move into a new $40 million building, you got to figure out where the bathroom is. It's pretty important, right? Whenever you change anything, you got to just kind of learn some stuff. And you think after 32 years of doing this, I can still think through every situation, but there's still stuff that comes up that we got to get better at. But there's a more excitedness about us. There's a more nervous energy out there because, single digits raise everybody's level of awareness. Leadership council, ones, twos, scouts, super scouts, special teams, who's traveling, who's not traveling. It's getting close.
Jeff, in your offense, is it important to have a slot receiver who profiles as a little bit more of a shifty guy? Is that like an important attribute for somebody to have?
You just take what you get and you play with what they can do. I mean, that's what our job is as coaches. We're going to do what the kids do. That's what we're supposed to do. Whatever they do well, we're going to do that with them. If they don't do well, we're going to try to hide that. But yeah, we wish every position was exactly the way we want it. But you get what you get when you recruit, and we try to ask our kids to do what they can do.
Do you have somebody who kind of fills that role on your roster, or do you see yourself just putting the 3 best pass catchers out there as receivers?
Just depends on what we're trying to do. I mean, it just depends. We've got little packages for all those kind of things. So certain kids that are going to get certain things, and certain kids are going to get other things. It's just a matter of what we want to do at the time.
When we talked to Josh Cephas, he said he worked a lot through the offseason and kind of developed his run after the catch. Do you see any kind of difference with him?
Yeah, him and Zakari both really worked hard on the rack, and it's been very intentional. We've really stressed it with every receiver, but whenever you go back and study the year before, weight room matters and that stuff, conditioning, and practice habits. And both those kids have really impressed me on how hard they've worked at that.
Yeah, you mentioned Zakari. How do you sort of set the expectations for him? I know he was working through some injuries last season and still put up a big year. What do you expect this time?
Well, just him getting voted into that single digit. That crushed him last year that he didn't get 4. But he handled it and worked his tail off in the summer and the spring and fall camp and got voted in. So it goes to show you how much better he's gotten just at practicing the game. His practice habits are as improved as almost any player I've ever coached when it comes to that. Josh has always been a practice player too, but Zakari has really turned into that. So I expect him to play even better than he did last year.
He said he loves going for the deep balls, and that's always been kind of the strength of his game. What makes him dynamic as a down-the-field threat?
Some guys just have that ability to judge the ball and go with late hands and use their body position correctly. We work a ton. We throw a ton of them to those kids. But in my years of doing it, there are just certain kids that are just natural at it. And you can develop that skill to a degree. But that's pretty much kids that have some type of depth perception, body control, high hands, late hands. And the ones that can do it, they're special.
You brought in some transfers at the position with Trayvon Bradley and Kennedy Lewis. Do you see either of them kind of making a significant impact right away?
Yeah, I think Trayvon will play immediately. Kennedy's still developmental. He lost his father right before he got here, about a week before he got here. And he's still struggling with the loss of his father. His father's a very good man and has a great mother, great sister. But, he's really struggled with that. And we have some coaches on our staff that lost their fathers at young ages, about the same time as he did. So we're trying to mentor him through that right now. So that's where we are with those 2 kids.
We talked to DeCorian Clark after the scrimmage when he had a couple touchdowns. I think it was the first scrimmage for you guys. And it sounds like he could be in the mix as well. How do you sort of size up what he brings to the team?
Yeah, he will be. JT's had a great camp, great spring, great summer. Always been a work ethic guy. Works his tail off every day and really is getting a grasp of the offense now. And he's a really great downfield threat, a great slant runner, screen runner, big, strong target. So we expect JT to play well as well.
Yeah, he mentioned really getting into the playbook a lot more. How do you guys kind of approach that with him or get him up to speed with that when it might not come as naturally?
It's just, like I always say, coaches get way too much credit, way too much blame. JT's decided it's important to him. I'm sure not getting to play very much. What Bobby Knight says, AOB is the greatest motivator of all players, it's butt on bench. So that bench, if that doesn't motivate you, I don't know what's going to.
Jeff, what does the rest of the week look like for you guys? Gonna have a mock game?
Yeah, we'll practice tomorrow. Won't be near as long as today. We got after it today for a while. We're pretty physical out there. Tomorrow we'll pull back a little bit. We'll have a mock game Saturday. We'll watch the Illinois-Nebraska game, obviously. Prepare for them and be ready to practice Sunday.
What can you tell us about Illinois? Any early thoughts on that?
You know, they haven't really played together yet, so we've watched stuff, what we think they're going to do, and best guess, but we won't really know until we watch them. I would imagine just Coach Billema and what he's done in the past. He's always been a very physical coach. His teams play physical. They run the ball very physical. Play action pass. They've got a good quarterback, good tight end, really good backs. I told you we brag about our 12 super seniors. They're bringing back 21 super seniors, 3 NFL offensive linemen. They've got some dudes, and we'll get our hands full for sure. We're looking forward to it, but we'll know more Saturday when we watch them.
You mentioned a few times the travel squad going to Illinois. When do you guys make that decision, and how hard do you think that'll be?
We'll make that next week sometime. We're already starting to, shape it because we got to get our special teams right. You don't want to be working guys on special teams that aren't going to go.
Yeah.
So we're already heading that way, but it won't be final till we see. You got COVID tests, you got injuries. I mean, you just got stuff you got to deal with before we get there. But yeah, we'll get that done probably Tuesday or Wednesday next week.
How would you say the overall health is of the team at this point?
We're pretty banged up, pretty nicked up. We've been going at it pretty good. So Nick got his hands full, but we're going to pull back next week and try to get into the plane. Once we get into the plane, hopefully get into the game.
Thanks,
Thank
man.
y'all.
Appreciate it.